The first dinosaur bones were confused for giant humans. In 1677, Robert Plot discovered an unusually large fragment of a femur in a quarry near Cornwall, Oxfordshire. He assumed that they were the bones of an elephant that had come to Britain with the Romans. However, they compared it to other elephant bones that looked very different, and Plot noticed an apparent resemblance to human bones and attributed them to a biblical giant. The fossil has now been lost, but the bone is said to have been identified as the lower end of a Megalosaurus femur. The realization slowly dawned on researchers that they were dealing with a new group of animals rather than giants. Naked dinosaurs. After comparing Archaeopteryx with Compsognathus, the two fossilized dinosaurs that held the greatest promise of helping him determine how birds evolved from reptiles, Thomas Henry Huxley concluded that birds evolved from small carnivorous dinosaurs. This theory has now been largely accepted by scientists, but didn't find much support in the 19th century and was still subject to debate until the discovery of Sinosauropteryx, a feathered dinosaur, in 1996. In movies, dinosaurs are still depicted as naked animals. Well, the thought of a giant crocodile-like animal running on two legs is a lot more entertaining than the thought of a giant chicken with teeth. Most dinosaur fossils found with feathery remains are from theropod dinosaurs. All dinosaurs are cold-blooded. Dinosaurs have long been thought of as cold-blooded reptiles that move slowly, like lizards. Since the first dinosaurs were discovered, it was widely accepted that they were cold-blooded reptiles. Early paleontologists thought that this must be true for all dinosaurs, leading them to assume that these extinct creatures were sluggish lizards that lived in the damp conditions of the Mesozoic era. However, the latest research shows that many dinosaurs had higher metabolisms and were social creatures who could regulate their body temperature. Birds, their direct descendants, are warm-blooded animals with a high metabolic rate, meaning that they have an innate ability to retain heat and generate more of their heat as needed. Oviraptor, the egg thief. The oviraptor was a dinosaur that lived 75 million years ago. When paleontologists discovered the remains of the oviraptor, they found fossil dinosaur eggs nearby, and nothing could protect the oviraptor against the rash judgments of these men. The paleontologists thought it must have been an egg-stealing dinosaur and gave it the name oviraptor, which means egg thief. New evidence suggests that the oviraptor wasn't an evil egg-eating animal, but a good and caretaking parent that would never leave its eggs alone in its nest, even in the face of life-threatening danger. The oviraptor would stay with its offspring and protect them with its own life. That's why paleontologists found the remains of the oviraptor close to its eggs. They were simply there to protect them, not to eat them. Brontosaurus, a real dinosaur. Brontosaurus is a sauropod, but there is no scientific consensus on whether or not it is the same animal as Apatosaurus. Brontosaurus is a dinosaur that existed during the Jurassic period, from about 156 to 146 million years ago. It was first described in 1879, by the paleontologist Othniel Charles Marsh. In 1903, 4 years after his death, a team from the Field Museum of Natural History studied the fossil remains and Brontosaurus was reclassified as an Apatosaurus. For over 100 years Brontosaurus was nothing but a synonym for Apatosaurus, until 2015, when a new extensive study concluded that Brontosaurus and Apatosaurus are two different genera. Archonosaurus. A dinosaur made of wood. On October 31, 1888, Abbé Gerard Smetz found fossils near Aachen, a town in Germany, which he thought were jaw fragments of a hadrosaur, and gave it the name Archonosaurus. Smetz described the animal as a biped dinosaur about 15 feet long, fitted with back plates. The Belgian paleontologist Louis Dollo recognized that the find was petrified wood, and Smetz then questioned Dollo's competence. He cited two famous paleontologists as supporters of his interpretation. To his surprise, they agreed with Louis Dollo, and Smetz, embarrassed, withdrew from paleontology. Confusing a thumb for a nose. The paleontologist Gideon Mantell discovered the iguanodon in 1822 in England. The iguanodon is known for its large thumb spike, but when first discovered, Mantell placed it on the animal's nose, until further iguanodon fossils were discovered. Triceratops and Torosaurus. Triceratops and Torosaurus could be the same animals, with the Triceratops being younger individuals. It's an interesting case of how paleontologists can only make educated guesses about how these dinosaurs lived and behaved. Both animals lived during the same time in the same habitat, and the only difference between Triceratops and Torosaurus is the shape of their neck frill. The debate about this theory is still going on. Confusing a plesiosaur with a sauropod. A dinosaur discovered in Germany was initially identified as a plesiosaurus because it was found in a quarry where there was a sea 180 million years ago. Later, a paleontologist recognized that it was the fossil of a sauropod, which was probably dragged through the sea by carnivores. Thinking sauropods were aquatic. Paleontologists thought that sauropods were aquatic dinosaurs that spent most of their life in water because they had nostrils on top of their head. But their fossils weren't found near prehistoric seas, and they had air-filled pockets inside their bodies, which would have made walking or swimming in the water complicated. The Elasmosaurus with a head on its tail. Fossil remains of Elasmosaurus were first discovered in Kansas and sent to paleontologist Edward Drinker Cope, who reconstructed the skeleton with the skull at the end of the tail. His discovery was published in the Proceedings of the Boston Society of Natural History Journal before he was made aware of his error by another paleontologist. Cope then corrected his error and tried to buy every copy of the journal that published his description. The Archaeoraptor chimera. The Archaeoraptor is the name of a forged dinosaur fossil, made of several animal bones. It was supposed to be the missing link between birds and theropod dinosaurs, but it was a chimera of a fossil bird, a Microraptor, and other unknown animal parts, as further studies have shown. Caterpillars starved the dinosaurs to death. A paleontologist in 1962 had a theory that caterpillars may have been responsible for the mass extinction of the dinosaurs. The crawlers feasted on forests and caused mass destruction of ecosystems, which eventually led to the extinction of the dinosaurs.